He showed up shouting on my porch, waving papers I'd never signed, right under my own light. I didn't flinch. I turned the camera on and called it evidence. That was the day I stopped being anyone's cushion. But trust me, the story was just beginning. I arrived at Celeste's house with my lemon pie, still warm in its dish, the scent of sugar and citrus following me through the marsh air. The light was soft, the particular Carolina gold that makes even the cattails shimmer. From the open window, I could hear the clinking of flatware and someone laughing a little too brightly. Inside, the dining room glowed under its chandelier. White linen, silver napkin rings, all that Charleston polish. Celeste smiled when she saw me, all sweetness and tension. "Mama, you made it," she said, taking the pie like it was a peace offering. I was seated near the swinging kitchen door, far from the head of the table. Bless their hearts, I thought. They still think distance looks polite. I watched as Darius poured wine for the neighbors, calling out jokes about the business he'd built from scratch. His voice filled the room like he owned the air itself. Celeste fluttered beside him, that laugh of hers thin and trained. "We're so blessed." "Mama," she said. I smiled. I knew what that meant. Blessed because I'd covered another mortgage payment. I noticed a small stack of boutique flyers on the sideboard. Another expansion dream? I didn't say a word. Not yet. By the time dinner began, the small things had already begun to sting. My place card said Lynora, plain as tap water, across from me. His read, Mr. Dunn, proprietor, a title, an audience. The order of service was subtle, but I caught every cue. Celeste seated me last. He carved the roast first. The neighbors asked him about real estate, about the vision. My name wasn't mentioned once. "You must be tired, Mama," Celeste said gently. "You don't keep up with those apps much, do you?" I laughed softly, folding my napkin. "I get by." Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Tavian, my grandson, glancing down at his phone. A group chat flashed across the screen before he flipped it over. Guilt has a color, pink rising to the ears. I've always said that silence tells on people. Every nod, every half laugh is a receipt. And I was taking notes, as I've done all my life, quietly, completely, without a pen in sight. Then Darius lifted his glass, swirling the wine like a man giving a toast. "So, Miss Lynora," he said with that careful grin, "how does it feel being useless?" For a second, nobody breathed. The sound of the ice machine in the kitchen was louder than words. Celeste's smile froze. A neighbor coughed into his napkin. I could smell the roasted chicken cooling, the heavy sweetness of corn pudding thick in the air. I looked at him. Not up, just level. I knew the test. He wanted to see if I'd flinch. But I learned long ago, never flinch. It feels, I said slowly, like someone's about to learn manners the hard way. He smirked. Thinking I was joking, I wasn't. I placed my glass of water down. The click echoed like a gavel. My hand didn't tremble. "How does it feel?" I said, voice calm. "Knowing I won't be paying your bills anymore?" For a heartbeat, the room stilled. The hum of the HVAC, the scrape of a spoon against china, then nothing. Celeste whispered, "Mama," and stopped there, torn between love and fear. Darius's grin faltered, caught between charm and panic. "That's not shade, baby," I said gently. "That's a policy change." A couple of guests shifted in their seats. "From tonight on, household requests go through your household budget." My tone was soft. Like explaining taxes to a child, no one dared speak first. Finally, a neighbor reached for the sweet tea pitcher and murmured, "Well, I suppose we could all use a refill." Southern manners as life rafts? Tavian moved closer, eyes wide. "Grandma, you okay?" I smiled. "I'm better than okay, sweetheart." Celeste didn't defend me, but she didn't defend him either. Sometimes silence is the loudest side to take. Darius tried a joke. It died halfway out. I folded my napkin, straightened my cardigan, and stood. "Dinner was fine," I said. "Company. Educational." I turned toward the door, feeling every eye follow me. Outside, The night air hit cool and clean. I could hear fiddler crabs clicking by the marsh, the sound small but steady. No more checks, I told the wind. No more cosigns, no more just this once. I pulled my phone from my purse and typed a note to myself. Check files, old habits, numbers never lie. I pictured the bottom drawer at home, the one holding wire transfers, contracts, and a USB labeled 2017. If you've ever been made small at your own table, I whispered to nobody. Sit with me. I'm done shrinking. Behind me. His voice came low and sharp. We'll talk about this later, Miss Graves. Without turning, I answered. We just did. The car headlights swept over the curb, catching the marsh grass in silver. I started the engine, the drawer already open in my mind, waiting. The drive home was quiet except for the hum of my old Buick against the wet road. The air off the marsh had turned sharp, the kind that keeps a woman's head clear. I parked beneath the oak, its branches heavy with moss, and sat for a moment before stepping out. My porch light flickered like it remembered every late night I'd come home thinking things would change. Inside, I slipped off my shoes, turned on the kettle, and clicked the lamp to its soft glow. Those small rituals are my reset buttons, signals that I'm back on my ground. Folks confuse quiet with weak. That's their first mistake. I looked at the framed picture of my late husband, Charles, and whispered, "You'd have handled it with more patience, but you'd be proud I didn't flinch." Then I texted myself one line. Drawer, contracts, wires. Years of accounting taught me. Memory fades. Paper doesn't. The bottom drawer creaked when I pulled it open. A low groan like a confession. Dust lifted in the air. Fine as regret. I kept everything organized the way Charles liked it. Color-coded folders. Labeled tabs, tuition, mortgage rescue, boutique rent, medical braces, paper dust, faint toner, ink that had outlived every thank you. Money has a smell when it's been sitting too long. I laid each folder on the desk, one by one, neat rows like a battlefield map. I always said, no cash, always traceable. If it isn't in writing, baby, it's just weather. Page by page, the years unfolded. 2016. $4,200 for the mortgage rescue. 2018, boutique rent arrears. Temporary setback. 2020, orthodontics. For the baby's smile, 2023, private school deposit. Just a bridge. I saw every number, date, and wire like a timeline of disappointment. I noticed the pattern, rounded vendor invoices, inflated numbers. Darius had padded the bills. I added sticky notes. Interest lost. Opportunity cost, Lake Lure cabin. When you're 69, you learn that generosity without gratitude turns into debt you didn't sign for. I wrote one truth for my viewers in my mind. Don't call it help if it keeps draining you. I found the USB drive, labeled 2017-2024. My hands were steady. I plugged it in, checked the files, wires, confirmations, boutique leases. My cloud backups blinked green. Encrypted, safe, I whispered. Facts over feelings, and printed a clean index. Arlene Cove's business card sat taped to my monitor. She'd always said, ethics age better than charm. I'd need her soon. Then came the manila folder marked 2017. Gilded fern. Equity agreement. My breath caught. The contract was there. Notarized, signed, sealed. $60,000 investment for 52% ownership. Darius's signature looped bold and careless. Celeste's neater beside it. Mine below both. Every clause lined up. No coercion. Full consent. I traced the ink, remembering that spring day when their voices had been sweet with gratitude. You're saving us, Mama. They had forgotten on purpose. I took out my notebook and made a grid. Legal, financial, social. I listed every risk. He'll call me confused. He'll try to delete files. He'll charm the neighbors. My countermeasures followed. Duplicate copies, sealed envelope to myself, one to Osric Maynor next door, and a call to my attorney first thing. No hallway arguments, I murmured. Everything on paper, everything daylight. A soft knock broke the rhythm. Grandma, you need tea? Tavian's voice was sleepy, gentle. I smiled. I'm all right, baby. Just balancing the family ledger. He hesitated. Dinner was weird. I didn't like how he talked to you. I nodded. You don't have to laugh to belong. Honey, remember that. He looked at the open folders, curiosity tugging, but I sent him off kindly. Some lessons can wait. Go on to bed. He hugged me, and I held him tight enough for both of us. When the house was quiet again, I dialed Mirabelle Stone's voicemail. It's Lynora, I said. I'm ready to move my assets into a trust. I'll send the documents in the morning. Need cease and desist templates and shareholder advisement. My voice didn't shake. I penciled Wednesday, 6 p.m. on a pad, after hours. Low eyes. Law first, feelings later, I said softly. I prepared a short HOA message, calm, neutral. Health is fine, finances are private. Thank you for understanding. My phone was set to record unknown calls, alerts routed to my email. I sealed a second fireproof key envelope for Osric, adjusted my bank alerts, and tucked my reading glasses into a slim court folder. I didn't need noise. I had numbers. The kettle clicked. I poured cinnamon tea, warm and grounding. My phone buzzed once. Celeste, Mama, can we do dinner Wednesday? Darius wants to talk it through. I stared at the words until they blurred. Then I saved the message to my evidence folder and typed my reply. Sure, bring your paperwork. I locked the drawer for the first time in years, turned the key, and whispered, Now it's my turn. I parked on the curb outside Celeste and Darius's townhouse, watching the porch light burn steady, a little too bright, company lighting, not warmth, through the window. I could see the table set for 4, napkins folded into triangles, a candle labeled clean linen, puffing fake calm into the air. Celeste opened the door with a hug that lasted a beat too long. Her ribs were tense. She wanted peace, but brought a storm. Darius stood behind her, polishing a glass that was already spotless. His smile clicked on like a motion sensor. Evening. Y'all, I said lightly. Traffic on 17 was something. I hung my coat, noting a manila folder half tucked under a magazine on the island. Every clue speaks if you know how to listen. We did small talk first, the safest sport in the South. Weather. HOA rules. Tavian's math project. Not a word about Sunday. Darius spoke like a podcast about brand visibility and foot traffic, but none of it had weight. Celeste poured my water full and left hers nearly empty. She was bracing. I set my purse beside my chair where I could reach it. Y'all eating okay? Those long days will take it out of you, I offered. Darius jumped in with a smooth, We're thriving. Mama. Celeste didn't nod. His control came wrapped in charm. Same as always. Halfway through the salad, he pulled the folder forward. Just a formality. Miss Graves, bank wants a co-signer, 70 grand, tops. He fanned the papers like a dealer with bad cards. Short bridge loan. Low risk. I asked. Calm as a ledger, interest rate, collateral, repayment schedule. He answered each with air instead of data. Celeste's eyes begged for a rescue she could later call fate. I smiled politely. Sugar. If it's a formality, it doesn't need me. His laugh cracked the air. Too loud, too fast. I opened the folder. No amortization table. The boutique's profit sheet had round numbers. Too perfect to be true. Cash on hand inflated by faith, not facts. I traced a line. Lease option adjoining space. Another ladder of debt, disguised as growth. A budget, I said, is just a wish list until the money's in the bank, Celeste whispered. Mama, it's just to get ahead. Ahead of what? I asked gently. The truth? Darius tried to pivot. You know how banks are with black businesses. I nodded once. Then why lie on the math? He pushed the pen toward me. Jaw tight, I placed it back, angled inward. I'm not co-signing. The silence afterward had shape. The fridge motor kicked on like a witness taking notes. It's not that deep, he tried, voice thin. Mino is adult-sized, I said. It holds. Celeste's hand trembled over her ring, but she stayed quiet. She knew I'd carried this family too far to let it fall on more paper lies. Darius leaned forward, voice syrupy. You've always been our safety net. That's the problem, baby, I said softly. Nets catch, then they tear. His face hardened. He muttered that old word again. Useless. This time under his breath, I pulled a folded checklist from my purse, labeled in bold print. No new debt without net profit. He sneered. You're making this hostile. I met his eyes. No, I'm making it honest. Celeste snapped. Darius, stop. That one sentence cracked the whole act. I stood, collecting my purse. I've got an early morning. Y'all get some rest. He rose too, half blocking the doorway. A test. I met his eyes until he stepped aside. If the numbers work, I said, they won't need me. Celeste mouthed. I'm sorry, I nodded. Truth doesn't need an apology. Outside, the air was cooler, clean. My phone buzzed before I reached the car. A calendar invite from Darius, co-sign, final. I declined it with one line. Decision stands. His reply arrived instantly. Then we'll do this the hard way. By Friday afternoon. The mailman had already passed when I noticed the envelope on my doormat. Certified. 3:12 p.m. stamp. Heavy paper that tried too hard to look official. It sat there like a dare. My name spelled perfectly, but the intent crooked. I opened it under the hallway light. Counsel for Darius Holt. Words like interference and injunctive relief strutted across the page. Folks love paper when they ain't got proof. I took pictures of every page before sliding them into my records folder. Then I forwarded the scans to Mirabelle Stone. Subject line. Pre-retaliation threat. See attached. I tucked my own evidence envelope into my tote. Wire confirmations, lease addendums, that 2017 notarized contract. I'd had enough hallway whispers. Tonight, we were talking in the light. I texted them. I'm 10 minutes out. Let's keep this civilized. The townhouse door was already unlocked. For family, the message said. The living room was scrubbed clean. TV muted. Curtains half drawn. Table cleared like for a house showing. I took the end of the sofa. Evening? I said. We'll talk straight and short. My tote stayed by my shoes where I could see it. Celeste asked softly. Mama, can we keep this private? Private, I told her. Not secret. I laid my phone face up, record light blinking. No one protested. I started with rules. We stick to numbers. No shouting, no stories. I slid an index page across the table. Dates, amounts, notes in tidy lines. If you dispute any, we'll pull the bank record. Celeste glanced at the list and whispered, I remember the braces payment. Darius cut her off. That's family, not debt. I leaned forward. It's documented support. I don't need thanks. I expect respect. My tone stayed level, like balancing a checkbook. If something keeps being just this once, it's not help anymore. It's a pattern with lipstick. I placed the sealed envelope on the coffee table. Copies only. I said, inside were the proofs, rent rescues, tuition payments, the equity contract from 2017 with every signature crisp and notarized. I read aloud one line, no coercion, parties fully informed, ownership vested upon funding. Celeste's lips parted. Darius's jaw worked like he'd bitten glass. This paper, I said, saved your doors from closing. It didn't ask you to like me. For a long second, no one breathed. Even the refrigerator paused between cycles. Then he broke. You pushed this when we were drowning. That's coercion, he snapped. You took advantage. My voice stayed flat. I offered terms. You signed freely. That's choice. He tried again. You're ruining our reputation with this ownership talk. I slid another sheet toward him, an email from the landlord. Reputation didn't cover rent. He tried to twist my calm into confusion. I read timestamps out loud, clear as church bells. Facts don't care about feelings, I said quietly. Celeste finally spoke. She did sign it. Darius. We both did. He turned his glare on her, but something in her posture shifted, shoulders drawn back, voice steadier. I told her gently. Love's not the same as access. You can't hand me a bill and call it care. She nodded. Tears bright but unshed. The silence that followed wasn't empty anymore. It was thinking. I pushed the copies toward them and stood. No cosigns, no advances, all contact through counsel, Darius said. You can't do this to family. I met his eyes. I won't let family do this to me. I adjusted my cardigan. Calm as a gavel. Have supper. Sleep on the truth. On the porch, dusk was turning the street gold. My phone buzzed. New email. Demand for rescission. I opened it under the porch light, skimmed the legal posturing, and forwarded it to Mirabelle with one line. I'm done being erased. I arrived at the courthouse before 9, tote in hand, index, copies, 2 pens, reading glasses, everything neat and daylight ready. The guard at security smiled. Morning, ma'am, I told him. I left my drama at home. He laughed, and that small bit of warmth settled my nerves. I texted Mirabelle Stone. I'm in the lobby. Her reply came quick. We play facts, not feelings. Down the hallway. Darius stood in a crisp suit that fit like borrowed armor. Celeste looked small beside him. Eyes down, I found a window seat, sipped water, and breathed slow. Quiet was my superpower. Paper speaks. Noise leaks. At the clerk's window. Mirabelle handled the filings. The clerk scanned my packet and said, Ma'am, this is clean work. Makes everyone's job easier, Mirabelle whispered. Judges notice this. I nodded. Respect the process, and it'll respect you back. We reviewed our exhibits, wire confirmations, lease arrears, tuition payments, and the notarized 2017 agreement. I toggled my phone to Do Not Disturb. No surprises today. The door to courtroom 3B felt like a vault when it closed behind us. Opposing counsel opened with theater, Miss. Graves exploited her family's hardship, exercising undue influence. He painted Darius as the noble small business dreamer, me as the meddling matriarch. Mirabelle rose smooth as still water. This is contract enforcement, not a feelings forum, she said. She laid out 3 pillars: informed consent, consideration of $60,000, and notarized execution with witness. The judge's pen moved once. I stared at the flag instead of Darius's smirk. Celeste twisted her ring until it squeaked. Then Mirabelle built the case like a mason. Wire receipts timed to the boutique's rescue. Emails with per your request and thank you. Tuition and orthodontic records proving ongoing support. She held up the 2017 contract, every seal visible under light. No coercion, she read. Parties fully informed. The judge leaned forward, asked about buyout clauses. Mirabelle pointed right to them. Opposing counsel objected. Weakly, overruled. Facts stood like fence posts in the rain. I exhaled quietly. Numbers didn't tremble. When Darius took the stand, he called me manipulative. You pushed those terms when we were drowning, Mirabelle asked. Who printed the contract? He hesitated. I did. Who brought the notary? Celeste's cousin. The courtroom heard consent, not coercion. Did she threaten you? No, ma'am. He scrambled to reframe. Said I cut off love? Show the text, Mirabelle asked. Silence. He glanced at counsel. Nothing came. The judge's eyebrow rose, unimpressed. I didn't smile. Humility was strategy. The ruling came steady and clean. Contract valid, consideration real, execution proper, coercion unsupported. My 52% ownership upheld, rescission denied, costs shared. The judge warned, no disparagement, future disputes go through mediation. I breathed like I hadn't in months. Celeste sagged in her chair. Darius stared at the tabletop. Mirabelle leaned over and whispered, You did the hard part, keeping records. Outside, the March light felt kind. No reporters, just wind and magnolia petals. Darius brushed past me, wordless. Celeste's eyes met mine, full of sorry, too late. I told Mirabelle I'd move everything into a revocable trust. Do it this week, she said. I texted Osric Maynor. Keep that envelope safe another week. He sent back a thumbs up. I sat on the courthouse wall eating a granola bar. Victory didn't taste sweet, just clean. In the car, I scheduled updates. Healthcare proxy, power of attorney, fresh passwords. Pastor left a voicemail. Proud of you, Miss Lynora. I smiled. Community keeps you upright. Before pulling out. My phone lit up. Tavian's number. Grandma, he said, voice tight. Something's wrong at the shop. A photo followed. A for lease sign crooked in the boutique window. Stay put, I texted back. Don't engage. The first ping came at 7:10 a.m. The neighborhood chat was already buzzing, screenshots of the boutique window, that sloppy for lease sign taped at an angle. Comments flew faster than coffee cooled. Heard they lost a loan. Expansion gone sideways. Somebody pulled funding. I didn't type a thing. I screenshotted, archived, and labeled timestamps. I paper before feelings. That's how I stay clear. I texted Tavian, "You home? Don't get pulled into grown folk talk." Then I poured coffee, opened my notebook, and wrote my to-do list. Bank HOA council. When the street starts talking, you don't shout, you document. I parked half a block down from the boutique. Morning sun hit the glass just right to show the gaps on the shelves. The for lease sign was curling, half-taped, as if guilt itself put it there. 2 former employees whispered near the curb. One said, "Payroll bounced." The other nodded, eyes darting toward the door, inside. Celeste moved like a ghost with a phone to her ear. She saw me across the street but didn't wave. I stayed put. No porch scenes, no shouting through windows. I took 2 photos, tagged them, and sent them to Mirabelle. Public signal. Not from me. Penelope Voss, head of the HOA, appeared like clockwork in her workout gear. "Morning, Miss Graves," she said, tone sweet as Splenda. "Everything all right?" Translation, the block wanted a story tidy enough for gossip hour. I smiled. "Health is fine. Finances are private. Appreciate your concern." She lingered, eyes scanning for drama. "We just don't like noise," she offered. I answered. "Neither do I. That's why I use paper." Her grin thinned. She nodded and retreated. Message received. Committees love control until you remind them silence can be strategy. At home. I texted Arlene Cove at Community Bank. "Need 20 minutes. Urgent," she replied. 10:45, private room. I printed my last statement, packed the 2017 contract copy, and left Mirabelle a voicemail. "Bank check-in. I'll send notes." My phone was set to auto-record unknown numbers, and I filled a call log sheet before leaving. Before I walked out, I left Tavian a sticky note. "Turkey sandwich in the fridge. Homework first. Sometimes you secure your peace one sandwich at a time." Arlene met me at her office door, blinds angled low. "You didn't hear this from me," she whispered. "Friday night. Someone tried to raise your transfer limit." She turned her monitor toward me. "IP traced to near the boutique." My throat tightened, but my voice didn't. "Thank you for catching it." She nodded. "We remember who built this town?" Then she showed another log, an attempted closeout on my savings. Caller failed challenge questions. We added new passphrases, in-person verification only, and dual alerts to Mirabelle's inbox. Arlene printed a fraud watch confirmation. I slid it into my index. Facts, not noise. We went over next steps. Freeze boutique link transactions. Require audit trails for any ACH. Arlene said she'd schedule a Friday review and witness any updates. "I'll be there," I told her. Documentation's my armor. Before leaving, I sent Mirabelle a text. "Flag confirmed, bank solid, paper trail in motion. Older folks watching this would understand. Banks still run on people, not apps, by noon. The for lease sign had been yanked down, then slapped back crooked. Panic hands. A vendor truck pulled away without unloading. I crossed the street slowly. Celeste stepped outside, half raised her hand, then let it fall. I texted her. "If you need calm, you know where I live." Inside. Darius was shouting into his phone, the confident tone gone brittle. I ended the day with a stop by Pastor Tate's bench. "Pray for steadiness," I told him, "not victory laps." Then I dropped a sealed folder with Osric Maynor. "Open it only if I don't answer by Sunday." At home, I watered the rosemary, reset my doormat camera, and wrote one line in my journal. Today the bank believed me. Just before sunset. My phone buzzed again. Celeste's message. "Mama, he's on his way to your house. He's mad." I looked out at the marsh, copper light fading. "Doors are locked," I typed back. "I'll see him in daylight, not the porch." Then I flipped the porch light on, so everyone could see what happened next. The porch light threw a golden square across the walkway, catching every edge of Darius's anger before he even reached the steps. I stayed inside the frame of my door, half-latched, steady, calm. "Evening," I said, as if this were any other night. His voice carried too high for the street, sharp enough to turn blinds into eyes. "You embarrassed us in court, Miss Graves." He shoved a folder forward like it could rewrite the verdict. I didn't move. "It's after business hours. All matters go through counsel." I pointed to the doorbell camera, its red light winking like a witness. He sneered. "You want us to fail?" "No," I said, I want you to stop using me as your cushion." The words landed flat but firm. Penelope Voss's dog froze mid-stride. I stayed still, my hands visible. My porch, my light. I called the non-emergency line, speaker on, clear voice. "This is Lynora Graves, West Ashley, in unwanted contact, documented boundary." The dispatcher logged my report, offered a patrol swing by. I didn't shout, I didn't cry. I stated facts. "You're recorded?" I told Darius, "and you've been asked to leave, for once." He looked unsure. Celeste's car idled down the block. Her shadow leaned forward, waiting. "This is family," he muttered, stepping back. "Family respects no," I answered. The patrol car rolled past like punctuation, its lights soft but certain. He turned and left, pride dragging behind him. I texted Mirabelle the call number and a 30-second clip labeled porch contact. No further incident went inside. I logged everything by hand, time, date, witnesses. One printed copy slid into Osric Maynor's sealed envelope, another into my binder. "Write like a judge might read it," I murmured. Tea kettle on, rosemary stem laid across the counter. The smell grounded me better than breathing apps ever could. Tavian's text came in. "You good?" I sent back a thumbs up and "Homework first." Routine wins wars. By morning, I walked down King Street, coat zipped high against gossip's chill. Marta Quinn, the delivery driver, was mid-argument on her phone. "No payment, no boxes," she said. She spotted me and sighed. "Miss Graves, they're 3 invoices behind." She held up her screen. "DH initials, no transfer IDs. "May I note those numbers?" I asked. She nodded. "No photos, just handwriting. Respect both privacy and truth." Mr. Gulliver, the landlord, stepped out, folder in hand, "Clock's done. Forbearance over." The morning air sliced clean. I texted Mirabelle the vendor list and landlord update. "Truth tells on itself in daylight," I wrote in my notes. Darius came outside mid-conversation. Fake grin plastered tight. "Just remodeling, folks." Gulliver, polite but firm, said, "After arrears are cleared." Silence cracked wider than glass. I didn't add a word. People think silence is surrender. It isn't, it's evidence. Customers drifted off. One asked about refunding gift cards. Darius stammered. I jotted the moment in my pad, fresh tab labeled liabilities. Then I walked away. Quiet has gravity at the church. Pastor Tate waited on the bench out front. He prayed short. Clarity without malice. Firmness without pride. I asked him to check on Celeste through the women's circle. "Just care," I said. "No crossfire." "What?" He nodded and handed me a grocery card. "In case Tavian needs a snack." "Community, Brett," he said, "is armor you don't have to wear loud." No one's that afternoon. Tavian sat at my kitchen table, pencil tapping. "Grandma, did we lose?" I smiled. "We didn't lose, baby. We just stopped lying to numbers." He frowned, thinking it over. "So we're okay?" "We're steady," I said. He showed me a classmate's text repeating Darius's spin. "Don't argue," I told him. "Just live true." We drew up a budget for his allowance and sneakers. Math heals when money hurts. Near sunset. Penelope texted, "HOA suggests a brief clearing talk. 5 minutes." I agreed. With terms. Outside, daylight, my camera running. Darius arrived with Celeste and some neighbor trying to live stream. "No filming," I said. The phone lowered. He began. "We're sorry if feelings were hurt." Already pivoting to branding talk. I opened my binder and read one line. "As of court order, I hold 52% ownership." Celeste's voice cracked. "We'll make it right." "Start with paying your vendors," I replied. Penelope wrapped it up on the dot. We parted like adults pretending. That night, the neighborhood chat caught fire. Screenshots of vendor posts, landlord memos, and a Yelp thread warning about unredeemed gift cards. Someone dug up the court's public ruling. The noise folded into clarity. I texted Mirabelle. Public narrative corrected, no response needed. My last entry for the day. Receipts walk themselves home. By 10. The marsh shimmered silver. I stepped onto my porch again. Set a small table by the door with a neat sign. Deliveries and documents. No doorstep debates. Arlene's text pinged. Governance meeting confirmed for Friday. Notary available tonight if desired. I replied, book the notary. Daylight only. Then I looked at the street. Still under my light, and let the night settle around the truth. The bank's conference room smelled faintly of copier toner and lemon polish. I arrived 10 minutes early, habit born from decades of being underestimated. Arlene already had the folders lined up. Signature pages, resolution drafts, fraud alerts. Morning, Miss Graves, she said, voice brisk but warm. Mirabelle joined by speakerphone, crisp as glass. We'll start once the notary arrives, she said. I reviewed my tabs, emails, receipts, the attempted transfer logs, and nodded. Everything accounted for. Arlene smiled. I like your kind of thorough. I whispered a short prayer, more rhythm than plea, then signed the first line, board consent establishing me as managing member. Ink sank into paper like a final heartbeat. The notary entered at exactly 10:30, seal case in hand, ID verified, oath read, and one by one, signatures fell into place. The air shifted. Authority feels different when stamped. Arlene verified each entry. Control updated, effective immediately. Mirabelle's voice softened. Proceed to premises. Daylight only. I slid the embossed pages into my folder. Thank you both, I said and texted Marta. Meet me at noon, King Street, for my viewers, I'd say. Talk less. Stamp more. By noon, the sun cut hard across the boutique's glass. Landlord Gulliver stood waiting, neutral as a referee. He handed me the master keys and stepped back. I posted a notice. Manager removed. Operations under audit. Darius appeared from around the corner. Smile staged for an audience. You can't just... I lifted the document. Steady and slow. Court order. Effective Friday, March 7th. His jaw tightened. Hostile takeover. Legal correction, I said. You're not authorized to enter. I passed him a trespass warning. He refused to take it, but the camera caught the gesture. We're done here. I unlocked the door, entered first, calm as a sunrise. Inside. The office was cluttered, receipts, boxes, a half-finished rebrand sketch on the wall. I photographed ledgers, verified deposits, and called Arlene. Authorized vendor payments, Marta Quinn and Gavin Textiles. Done, she said. I drafted a refund protocol for gift cards. Email, order of payout, 48-hour confirmation. The notice went up by the register. I changed the POS password and sealed the petty cash. Every key, every code accounted for. The hum of the printer sounded like closure. Outside. Marta waited. I handed her the payment slip. She blinked back tears. Didn't think I'd see this. You earned it, I said. Darius lingered near the curb, muttering. She's making a scene. No, I said quietly. I'm making records. Gulliver crossed his arms, unimpressed by drama. Lease secured, Miss Graves. Secured. He nodded once. Bystanders understood. Truth doesn't need volume. Celeste approached slowly, hair pulled back, eyes rimmed red. She held out 2 receipts. I paid these myself. I studied them, nodded. Then that's integrity, not pity, she whispered. I'm tired of cleaning up lies. Good, I said, handing her a broom and a trial contract. Let's start sweeping in order. Her tears fell without noise, but she stayed. Accountability isn't cruelty, I told her. It's mercy with a timer. Pastor Tate arrived during the sidewalk update, holding a clipboard. You need space for customer questions, he said. Use the fellowship hall. I thanked him. Grateful for quiet alliances, Penelope hovered at the edge of the crowd, arms folded. It block likes order, she murmured. So do I replied. The plan was simple. Refunds, receipts, no gossip. Tavian arrived with bottled water. Proud and shy, he said. Feels like a new start. It is, I said. By late afternoon, the boutique smelled of dust and eucalyptus. Tavian wiped counters, and I boxed leftover stock for consignment. We taped the last refund notice on the window. I gathered keys into a Ziploc, labeled and dated. You close a season the way you open a door, deliberate, I told him. The words hung between us. Gentle but solid, before sunset. I returned to the bank. Arlene handed me the final ledger. Vendor payments cleared, gift card fund secured, clean execution, she said. Mirabelle's email pinged with a cease and desist draft. I saved it, just in case. I uploaded the removal notice to the state portal and slid the printout into Osric's envelope. On the boutique door, I taped one final note. We kept our word today. That evening, my porch glowed soft against the marshlight. I clipped rosemary for a vase Tavian picked out. The phone buzzed. Celeste again. I confirmed Marta got paid. I'm staying for the hard part. I smiled. Small but real. Then another voicemail came. Unknown number. Miss Graves, a man's voice said. There's a new lease application filed. In your name. I exhaled. Steady. Set the phone down and reached for the light switch. Some lessons need illumination more than peace. The porch light flickered once, catching the edge of that new envelope on my step. No return address, just my name typed clean. Tavian called from inside. Grandma, who's it from? I stared at the seal, heart steady but sharp. Some papers close doors, others start wars, and are just next Friday.